Welcome to the Sovereign Futures podcast. I am your host, Yvonne de la Flor. The Sovereign Futures podcast is a sharing space of transformational interviews, sacred teachings, power imagery processes, innovative futuring tools, and topics that can help you design and sculpt your desired futures into your now. Some of our podcasts will be translated into Spanish to bridge cultures where we share the journey of consciousness together. Welcome to one of the last episodes of the Sovereign Futures podcast. As I've been sharing with you, the Sovereign Futures podcast is still going to be going and been serving humanity, but now it's going to be rebranded, renamed, and rebirthed as Spirituality Now, which is really Sovereign Futures is Spirituality Now. Future is living in the now. Spirituality Now is whoever is present in the moment creates a sovereign future, because the more present you are in the here and now, the more leverage you have to create your next moment and your next moment in ways that you want to create more sovereignty for you. Whether it's in business, whether it's in mindset, in spirituality, whether it's in finances, relationships, whatever it is that you want more success and fulfillment in life, if you don't have sovereignty of thought, you don't have sovereignty of futures. If you don't have a sovereign future ahead of you, is because your now is not really treasured, and you are most probably living, thinking, and behaving from the past. Anyways, I'm so excited. I have an entrepreneur, businessman, and a real passionate human being that has achieved things that many people will call impossible. I know him. He's really young, obviously really young compared to my age, which I'm very proud of. But I'm so excited. He's Latin American too, and I had the privilege to meet him. I had the privilege one day to give a public speak to one of his groups, and it's just a real honor to have him here. Plus, his energy is fantastic. So, but before I introduce him to you, again, a couple of reminders. The Sovereign Futures podcast will continue, but now it will be called Spirituality Now. The reason why is because I'm launching my new book next year, and we are pairing everything together. Spirituality Now matches much better with all my branding, all my business. I've been in this business of isness, of really manifesting the without from within, which we're going to talk a little bit about that with our guest today, since the age of 12. Since the age of 12, I started meditating. Since the age of 17, I had the experience of a near-death experience that really taught me about living in the now. And so I've been in the rodeo of the here and now for quite a long time, at least in early years. And so my next decade, or hopefully decades, are going to be serving in a more refined and focused way. And we're headed towards there. Another thing that I would like to remind you is that this is a philanthropic podcast. We are not sponsored by anyone except my own company, De La Flor Teachings International, which is one of the only ones, if not the only company which is focused on systemic and spiritual coaching, mentoring, and consulting. We do live events, public speaking, coaching, mentorship groups, mentorship programs that are focused on really helping you with systemic work, heal or learn from the qualities of your past, get the golden nuggets of the experience, whether good or bad, leverage from there, be more present in the moment, and design, create, architect, and sculpt realities and futures that you do want to live into, that your company does want to live into, and get the results you came here to get by doing the right work instead of wasting your time wondering what is the work that you need to do. So that's the company that sponsors this podcast. We're also sponsored by Ascend Media. Ascend Media is the media company that produces, edits, and make sure to tell us, or to tell me, Yvonne, please keep your voice in the microphone. So they are sponsoring us. They're producing our podcast since the beginning. So big shout out to Ascend, YND Media is Authority Syndicate Media. I highly recommend. They always offer video marketing, podcast marketing, mentorship, coaching in marketing that is aligned with virtues, core values, and legacy. That's why I chose them. Because, I could hire any marketing company, but my core values, I've learned, I'm almost going to be 50 this year. And I've learned over my young age of 49 that I am unwilling to sacrifice my core values for anything. No money sign, no lure into fame, nothing will have me sacrifice my core values. So as in media matches our core values of our company and of my personal life mission. So big shout out to them. Another thing I want to remind you is that if you are not signed up for our free newsletter, please go to delaflorteachings.com, fill in the little pop-up window that appears so you can receive our newsletter. Our newsletter comes in two languages, in Spanish and English, since I have the privilege to serve the Spanish-speaking community too. So you'll have in both languages. And we also, I associated, or I have a partnership a couple of months ago. It started with a tea company. Those of you who don't know, I'm a practitioner of Gong Fu Cha, tea meditation, the practice of cha, of tea. And it's a practice that Bruce Lee, for my higher achiever and athletes, friends that are listening to this podcast, he used to do it in order to be like water and be in constant contact with the flow as the flow. So if you're interested on that, sign up for our newsletter because, offers discount coupons for you to get all the tools that you need for incorporating this tea meditation practice, Gong Fu Cha, into your life. We'll be there. We have great contacts for great tea, best tea in the world, best tools for the tea meditation. And it's just such a very, very fun practice to have. So with that said, I'm just going to move into introducing my guest. My guest was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. He was raised in Los Angeles, California. And he felt that, being both Latin American and being born in Los Angeles, California, he was having the best from both worlds. He's very proud of his culture and traditions and also very grateful for the opportunity to have an education in the United States. And my friends, this is important and we'll talk about it with him in a moment. He calls this a blessing in his life that, guess what? And I love that he said that. He calls this blessing, and then even though it's a blessing, it turned also into a struggle. Isn't that amazing? A lot of us say that our struggle turns into blessing, but he just redefined, thought, because he just said that his blessing turned into a struggle. A struggle he used into stepping, like a stepping stone to move forwards and to arrive to his path of entrepreneurship. He's truly one of the best entrepreneurs I know. He now resides in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's a neighbor. He owns an e-commerce business and has a blog that empowers people to be the best they can be. He has had the opportunity to speak to thousands of people in different venues and has discovered it's a passion of his to speak to the people's heart. Brayan Garcia, our guest of today, is excited to share always more with people and add consistent value in your life. My beloved Brayan Garcia, welcome.
Thank you, Juan. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to be part of this. And right now I was listening to you and you said about core values and that you wouldn't do anything that doesn't go around, that goes around your core values. And I'm going to tell you something. I think anything you do goes with my core values and my core beliefs. So I'm here excited to add value and be of service to your program.
I love that, Brayan. And, I witnessed, I remember when I met you a couple of years ago in Vegas and you were even younger. What's your age right now? I'm
32 years old now.
32. So I met you in 2016. Do the math. You're
Wow.
mathematician. Yeah. So I met you in 2016 and it not only impressed me how young you were, but the focus you had on doing the work. While many people were wondering what they will do, you were using that time that others wondered to work really hard. You were always adding value. You were waking up early. This is something I learned with Brian Tracy, one of my mentors. Like, he always said to me, Yvonne, wake up a little earlier, stay up a little longer. Any work or job you have, never complain of it. Take it as if you were the owner, but be humble enough to obey the orders if you have a boss, and then learn to earn the right. And I saw that in you. I've never seen you like complaining of like, oh, I have to work. On the contrary, it's like, how can we add more value? So I love that you said core values. I just want to share something that the core values principle is something that God reaffirmed stronger in me. I was a member of a syndicate called Arete that is led by incredible Ed Milet and Andy Frisella and Emily Frisella. And I had the opportunity to hear Andy speak about core values. My goodness gracious, that was like baptism of core values all over again. So now I agree with you. We have the same core values. We are hardworking people. We love to earn the right. We understand the principle of that. And with that, Brian, let's begin with your journey, because I can preach about core values all the time, but this is really a podcast about you. I want you to share with people briefly your story. I know you've shared it over and over again, but for this audience, maybe they've never heard about it. And share with us how, your story, how you were born in Guadalajara and you arrived to LA, and the blessing became a struggle. And the blessings that become struggle and the struggles that become blessings. So let's start there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it takes, they always say that the two most important moments in life is one is when you're born. The second one is when you discover why you were born. And in order for you to discover why you were born, you have to go through this process of understanding the blessings that you were giving in life, right? Your gifts, but at the same time, the struggles shape the character to go deliver the blessing you have. So I realized, born in Mexico, I'm very proud of that. My parents came to the United States when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So I didn't know anything about Mexico. It's so funny, nothing. I grew up in California, Los Angeles, all my life. I went to elementary school here, middle school, high school, and then that's when it hit, because when I graduated high school, I was going to go to college and pursue a career in business administration, and that's when my first, I would say, struggle hit, right? Because I couldn't pursue a career. The fact that I was born in Mexico, I mean, my situation legally wasn't favorable, so I couldn't get a career going, and I said, I don't understand, right? I was very confused. I spoke to my mom and I don't understand, Mom. What happened? I mean, everything I know is in this country. I grew up with a family that spoke the Spanish language, but everything I knew was in this country. So that became one of my struggles, because I couldn't get a formal job. I couldn't continue with my education. So what do I do? What do I do? Now I'm stuck. I mean, I have dreams, I have goals. I want to provide for my family. I want to grow. I want to have a higher education, but the system itself is stopping me from growing. I don't understand. I'm confused. So all these things going on in my mind, and that's when I decided to become an entrepreneur. Because you see, an entrepreneur gave me the flexibility to say they weren't going to question whether my situation was favorable or not when it came to documentation. Entrepreneurship was basically adding value to the marketplace. And if I had a product or a service that can solve a problem in society, then society was going to, correspond back and not just financially grow, but also personally and feel fulfilled with everything I did. So that's the beginning of my journey. And I really feel that the fact that I made a decision to say, you know what, I could have said, well, this country doesn't want to provide any opportunity for me to keep my education. So you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and stop getting an education. I'm going to stop growing. I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to get a regular job and just be nothing. I could have gone that route, like most people that find, maybe a hardship do. But no, I said, you know what? I have to turn this around and be the best out of it, because I realized that I was being shaped. I realized that this was shaping my character. I realized that it was giving me the strength to deliver my purpose and my gifts. And now I understand it, right? Years later, I understand it. And it's a blessing when you look back and you're like, man, thank God I didn't give up.